This is the Dome. It's closed now and it doesn't look like much from the outside, but it used to be a jewel in the crown of the south coast of England, Worthing, West Sussex. Like many old buildings around Britain that are falling into disrepair, where there's dust, there's a trust. And here, there's a committee saying, "Save our cinema, SOS."
The building was started in 1909 and it opened in 1911 as a multi-entertainment centre. There was a cinema presence in the building, but it was very much reduced against what it became in 1921.
So this was actually down here, it was the skating rink. Underneath these seats here is a maple floor, rock maple floor.
Yeah.
And so everybody used to come skating in, and these galleries were still here.
They celebrated armistice here, they celebrated coronations here, but all the time cinema was gaining momentum as an entertainment format. And it was in 1921 when it took its full form, if you like, in the way you see it today.
And they put in this fantastic ceiling, which is hung right across. And you can see, I mean, it's wonderfully ornate.
We have applications in with the Heritage Lottery Fund and also English Heritage to raise £4 million to actually refurbish the building and to take it back to what I suppose you could call its silent era glory.
Because we want to bring it back as a multi-entertainment centre. I mean, if you think that sort of in 1911, this opened with all sorts of activities going in under one roof. So you had roller skating here, you had the electric theatre upstairs, you had billiards actually in the dome itself.
It is listed, it's a grade 2-star listed building, and that particularly refers to the auditorium and even the seating, which has all got to be refurbished before it can be reopened in its former glory.
It's the most magnificent building. You go through the 2 double doors on the either side into this magnificent foyer. Wonderful ornate ceilings, chandeliers. You've got wonderful little side rooms which have got cut glass in with refreshments on one side, cloakroom on the other. Oh, it's wonderful, isn't it? And the mirrors are fantastic.
This is like something out of the Antiques Roadshow. I mean, there's gilt, there's glass, Cupid. Now, if I were to put a value on this for insurance purposes, well, I'd say it's worth £. And there are still people in Worthing who can remember when there was no place like the Dome. Now, both of you have been connected with the cinema scene here in Worthing, especially the Dome, of course. Now, John, when did you first become involved?
Well, I came here in just after I left school in 1945, about October, and Dennis was already here. So
Was he the projectionist?
he was a projectionist, yes, and
One of them, one of the many.
well, of course, in the old days,
We had a lot of projectionists in the old days.
yeah.
Why did you have a lot, particularly?
Well, I think on a good day there was 4 or 5 of us in there on a Saturday night when you was sort of returning the films. They had to all be spooled off and packed in tins and they.
So it was really technological, was it?
That's right.
It was all, what,
There was a lot of
shorter
work. There was
films?
a lot of work to be done, you know. They used to come in 10-minute reels, you know, these big cans of them, and you put them all together on a 20-minute reel, and then at the end of the week you had to take them all back to bits and put them back to where they came, you know. And they used to come down from Water Street and collect them up about 2 o'clock in the morning, you know.
But of course, the cinema was a little bit different in those days. John, you'd remember when the Dome here must have been a big part of life in Worthing. I mean, what was it like then?
There was always a packed house here. I mean, in those days, it was unusual if you didn't get a packed house.
Yeah.
It really was. The cinema was the hub. That was the only entertainment. There was no television.
Dennis, of course, the Dome in those days, the 40s and 50s mainly, was quite a bit of a love palace, wasn't
That's
it?
right, oh yeah, I was going to say, that's where I met my wife, you know. She was an usherette, and so we're still together now, 50 years next year we've been married, but Yeah, we used to do all the courting down here, really, as
Well,
well as...
when you say that, Dennis, you were upstairs in the projection box and she's down here selling ice cream. or
Yeah,
whatever.
but sometimes she used to come up and give me a hand sort of thing, you know, with the rewinding and things like that.
So kids obviously have been brought up differently today. I mean, if they go to the cinema at all, it's probably the multiplex. Do you think there's any comparison? Or is
No.
it just a cinema?
I don't personally.
I don't.
No.
It's so cold now, it's just a...
It's just like sitting in somebody's sitting room, I think. I've only ever been in one, but quite honestly, I'm used to 2,000 seats or that sort of thing, you know, not 25 or 50 or 100 even. These small cinemas, to me, they're nothing like the Dome was.
Everybody wanted to be a John Wayne one week and a Humphrey Bogart the next sort of thing. They was all walking around like this, and yeah, even the girls. There was a Betty Grable one week and Rita Hayworth the next. You know, and this is why it was so intimate. So you know, because everybody felt good, I think.
But there are some people who've discovered the Dome more recently. Now, you were the last manager here before it closed, so you were here on that last night. What was it like?
Strange. It was a very intense evening. A lot of emotions going on that night. It was nice, it was very busy in here, so it was good to see the place end on a high note, even if it was the end. But yeah, no, all in all, it was a good evening.
It was very, very sad. I mean, there was 14 members of staff and we were all very, very upset. And obviously you had the final closing of the curtains and we sort of stayed behind afterwards, you know, to soak up the atmosphere a little bit. But we're all very, very upset about it and we all hope that it's going to reopen as soon as possible.
I mean, as far as the heritage of this country is concerned, it's one of the oldest running cinemas in the country. And it's also the only cinema in Worthing as well. I think town this size definitely needs a cinema. And it's an absolute gem, this one, so really needs to stay.
This job can totally get into your blood. It is a life, this job, and it is totally fascinating. This theatre runs exactly the same as it did in the 50s, in the 60s, and before that. The industry on the technical side in the operating rooms changed in the late 60s. But this theatre has always been the same, and you come into here and it's like going back into another world. Someone who worked here 50 years ago could walk into this operating box and it would be exactly the same. As good as, anyway.
Now, obviously the place is locked up now. We've been let in today. But with these projectors, do you think, I don't know, somebody ought to come in and maintain them from time to time?
Yes, they should. This equipment should be run regularly 1 or 2 hours a week. Because any piece of machinery, if it's left idle, goes to rot, doesn't it?
Mm. Are you hopeful for the future of the Dome, you know? Do you hope you'll save your cinema?
It'll be brought alive again. Everybody will want to come here. They'll talk about it. It won't just be in Sussex. It'll be in England, and they'll talk about it in the world as well, like a tourist attraction, because it'll be held up as a model.
A lot of these places really should be kept for the future.
So you both say, save our cinema?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
I think this theatre as a place in history for heritage, it has to be economical at the same time to survive. Any business does. But you are looking at a cinema here which started from the infancy of the film industry. If this is not worth surviving and looking after, I give up.
You know, they've been showing films in this building for the best part of 100 years. But now we're around the end of the 20th century. Once we get over the excitement of the Millennium Dome, it might be nice to pop down and have a look at the Worthing Dome.